clearing the mind of mental modifications. And so, at that being the ultimate goal, it makes sense that you would not start with that as your first practice. You're not going to achieve the goal of thousands of years of meditation practitioners, which very few have fully achieved in a couple sessions. And so starting with that as your initial goal is insane and actually leads you to not getting very far with the practice. So what do you do instead? The first time I ever meditated, I was following the instructions from a book on Hermeticism that I found with a friend in high school. And it contained a lot of different instructions. It contained 10 different steps. And literally, step one of the meditation portion of the 10 steps was clear your mind of all thoughts. Do this for 10 minutes or greater. And I struggled with that for years off and on, sitting down, trying to empty my mind. 2 seconds you'd get in, you'd think of something. Maybe after a week of trying, I would get 20 seconds of just pure silence. And then I think, oh, wow, I'm doing so well. And just trying it again and again, I never really achieved any form of silence using that method. And that's because that's the wrong way to do it. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is really about Raja Yoga, the yoga of kings, and discusses meditation and how you hold yourself in society. So, not the bendy yoga that we think of in the West, but the yoga of leadership. The first stanza is that yoga is clearing the mind of mental modifications. And so, at that being the ultimate goal, it makes sense that you would not start with that as your first practice. You're not going to achieve the goal of thousands of years of meditation practitioners, which very few have fully achieved in a couple sessions. And so starting with that as your initial goal is insane and actually leads you to not getting very far with the practice. So what do you do instead?
Subscribe.
Well, the thoughts, as it's taught, the illusion of mental modifications that is described in Yoga Sutras and in other texts is that the mind is like a lake and thoughts are the waves on the lake. So your mind isn't your thoughts. Thoughts are things that happen and disturb the mind or the consciousness. The way that these thoughts get powered is by the emotions that you attach to them. So the way to slow them down is to actually not continue to fuel them with your energy. And that means to let them arise and then without interacting with them or interacting with them with as little as possible for you at that time, to let them flow away. An illusion that I think really helps is that these thoughts are like the wheel of a bicycle. As a kid, we used to flip our bicycles over when we were working on them and then push the wheel down as hard as we could and get it spinning as fast as we possibly could, and then wait and see how long it took for it to slow down. And as you'd see it slowly go a little slower, a little slower, a little slower until it finally, over after quite a while, would stop. And thoughts are like this too. They have stored energy. And every time we think of them again and again and again, we build them up. That's one of the dangers of psychology is that by digging up these old thoughts, you actually continue to give them power by building logical structures about why they should be there. Because this happened to me as a kid, then therefore I think like this. And then you think that thought over and over again, you're just reinforcing it. In many ways, meditation is the exact opposite of this process. You're letting the thoughts arise, but you're not adding energy over time. And this is the trick that I was actually able to get into the deeper meditative states as the thoughts died down to where you can have long stretches without any desire to have a thought, without any thought arising at all. And that's when you get really profound changes in your life, in your day to day mental state, because you're able to recognize and access this sense of knowing as you're seeing thoughts and emotions come up in your daily life. You can be the king that rises above them, notice where they're coming from, and then choose what action you're going to take in response rather than letting them take you over.
Subscribe.